Okay, we are going to go in the next two videos about selection. Selection tool, I believe, is the most important and crucial tools you can use in Photoshop because we'll be selecting things and adding other things to it. But if you don't have a good selection or you don't know how to select, it really doesn't make any difference. It stinks. You don't have the ability to be creative in Photoshop. So it's right below the move tool we're going to look at. They're called the Marquee tools. There are actually four of them. I'm just going to go over two of them. If you click down here, hold, you'll see the rectangular marquee tool and the elliptical marquee tool. Let's just go with the rectangle. And the first thing you're going to see is up top, you'll see the actual what tool you're in right here, right under the word edit. And once we go over to your image, you're going to see four boxes. The first one is new selection. That means when I draw and make my first selection, as you can see, it's a marquee and it's black and white, and it will eventually move like it is a marquee sign in a theater. What I'm doing is I'm telling the computer that everything inside the dashed or moving lines or the marquee lines is active. How do you know that? Watch. I'll take it and I'll move it. Everything on the outside is not. I can't move it at all. It does nothing. Okay? And that's where it is. Think of this. Wherever I do or I make any kind of selection, it's only going to happen inside what I've done. Okay? That is crucial. Get that in your brain. Inside the marquee is an active area. Everything outside of the marquee is dead. So getting back up top to the thing, the first one is new selection. Okay? I've made my first selection. If I want to make a second one, you're going to notice the first one goes away because every time I'm making hence a new selection. We'll say I want to add on to this one. I can definitely do that, and that's our next one. It's called adding to a selection. Hence, it's very intuitive. Adobe, big props. What I want to do is come here. I want to overlap my two selections. Actually, I don't even have to overlap my two selections. I can leave them like this. And now I have two active areas. Let's check it out. And yes, I can move them both. I can actually connect them if I wanted to. Same thing with add selection, and they can do something like this. And notice now it is just a silhouette of my three boxes. That was adding selection. Now, the third one is called subtracting. Okay, subtract a selection. I can come here to the edge, pull off, and notice I have this little indent. I've subtracted from the actual original one. It also works even inside if I do like this, even if I don't overlap anything else. As you see, this outline was my nice active area, and I put an actual void inside of there. What do I mean like that? Think of a donut. There's a hole in the donut, okay? Let's show you. If I move it, notice there's my active area. Sometimes the more complex you make your selections, it could get difficult, but just remember, inside this selection, active, outside is not. Okay, we'll go ahead with the last thing, and what this one is, it's they call it where it says intersection with selections. So if I go ahead and I'm going to Control Z back one more, if I come here and I drag down, you'll see this long, large box over my original grouped selection. Wherever they both overlap each other, that's what's going to stay. So it's going to be his ear and part of that little smile and some of his collar. So I'll let go. And as you can see, where the two overlap, that's where it's going to come to, and that's what you're going to use. So that does the Marquee tool. Let's now go to the one below it. Next one, and you'll see there are three tools. They're called the Lasso tool. Lasso, Polygon Lasso, and Magnetic Lasso. I am a big fan of the Lasso tool. I've been using this program for quite some time. I am as you know, wildly old veteran. I had my own business, still do it, and of course teaching. So the first one is we're going to go to the polygon. I'm going to go over the lasso tool because we're going to do that one last, but we're going to do the polygon. What polygon is a shape that has straight sides and has corners. Okay, so what that means is I can click once, I drag, notice you can see the line where it's going, I click a second time, and you're going to see that I could only make straight lines. Now, this isn't really the best one to work with because the dog's very organic shaped because it's a living being. But I would use this polygon tool where if I'm going to crop out, say, a building, maybe something that's man-made, a desk, skyline, something that has definitive straight lines, and that's where I would use it. Now, you can use it in conjunction with other tools, and I'll show you that in a moment, but let's go back to the polygon tool. I've got this floating edge around. There's two things I can do to connect it. First one is go back to the original, and you'll see a small circle underneath my actual polygon lasso tool, and I click and it's done. Another way to do it, I just kind of do this again, and say I lost where it was because it was something super detailed. All I have to do is double click my mouse, double left click my mouse, and it will connect it, okay? And that works out well too. We're going to notice up top we have the new selection, add a selection, subtract selection, and of course divide. Those 4 boxes up top are still there. Love that consistency, it's great. So that means I can actually go ahead and subtract things. Let's take a look at maybe an elliptical. Now, we never went over elliptical, but I'm figuring if you knew the rectangle marquee, the elliptical goes through the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and make an elliptical, and it's going to add, and notice it does. How did I know that it was going to add? If you look at the actual cursor, and I'm floating it up top in the white, it's got a plus sign in it. If I want to subtract, notice it has a subtraction sign. If I want to, and this is for every single selection tool. It's really kind of intuitive, except for one, and we'll get to that in the second one. And of course, if we want to do a wherever it intersects, it's got a little X or multiplication. So it intersects. That's where two lines cross each other. It's just really, really well done, and I love it, okay? So yeah, we can subtract from this. I can use my polygon tool and subtract also. So again, I can come here, click, make some lines, bring it together, and boom. Still works the same way. Now, let's go ahead and Control D that, deselect everything, and let's go to the magnet tool. The magnet tool is the same thing. You're going to notice it has got a magnet. I'm going to go with an add just to be on the safe side, and I'm going to start drawing. What the magnetic tool does is the computer, you're going to go close to the edge of the object you want to select, and the computer is going to find a definitive line. It's going to look for a definitive line. And you're just going to click and hold and kind of drag around it, and you're going to see that the computer's picking up what it considers a definitive line between it. It's not the most accurate, but it gives you a pretty good, I would say like a 70 or 75, and I'm just going to kind of wing this one up here. Accuracy, okay? Not the greatest, but it's a good place to start. I do have to come back to the beginning and get that circle, just like the polygon, and I let go. And as you can see, I've got some pretty good stuff. I'm missing some stuff out here in the top ear over here, a little bump up here, and vice versa. Yes, I can go with the add tool, go Control plus, let's get a little closer to it. I can come back here and I can fine tune things. Here, come on over here, bring it around, and I can double click, and there I'm adding to it. Let's bring this one around like this. Come around, double click, and notice I'm adding to it. That's another way to do it. And it works out super, super well. Again, yes, subtract, everything is there. Okay? Magnetic one. Last but not least now is going to go back in now into my lasso tool. It's freeform. It's what I like to use it best. That's what I'm used to. This is where I do all my fine detail work, okay? Now notice under the ear here, I'm going to work off of a magnetic tool selection, because every selection tool you can use with each other. I can go with my lasso tool and work on, say, a square, a marquee, a rectangle marquee, or an ellipse. They all interact because they have this plus, minus, new selection, whatever you need. So I'm going to go with a minus because I want to select behind it. Let's get a little closer, Control plus. Move this over here. I've got my lasso. You're going to notice my lasso has a minus. You can see it underneath the lasso right there. I'll put it here so you can see it right here in the spot. And let's come down here and do one of these. Up, I released a little too early. Let's try this one more time. Bring it around. Boom. Let's go back to add, because we want to add a little bit more right here. Boom. Let's add a little bit more here. It's a very tedious process, but I will tell you this right now. The more accurate you are with your selections, the better things are going to be about masking, and we'll talk about that in a couple more videos, okay? But notice I'm moving around pretty easily with this hand right here. All I'm doing is holding down the space bar. When I hit the space bar, I still stay in my same tool, but that gives me the ability to move it. So I hold it, hold my mouse, click and hold down, and I move it around. Let's add to this. Love it. I'm not going to get the whisker in there. Those are certain things I can worry about later, but those are something else we can do later. And again, look at how I'm just doing that. Really nice and easy. Just add to it. Oh, messed up there. Let's go back with my subtraction. Come in here, do that subtraction. And as you think you understand the whole process, okay? So one more quick time to do it. We have an actual lasso tool, freehand. You got used to it. Works really well. We have the polygon. With the polygon, straight lines, things that are man-made. And then our magnetic tool, where the computer is actually looking for a distinct color switch from one object to another, and it goes along that border, okay? So those are those. I'm going to stop right here, and I will start the next one about how we're going to use the other last three selection tools, which I think you're truly, truly going to enjoy.